Probably.
It's 6 p.m. on Tuesday, October 15th. I'll call the monthly meeting of the Village Board of Trustees to order. Roll call
Bill,
here.
Berto. Here. Shampoo. Here. Harf.
Here.
Warner. Here. Housen.
Here.
And Orozco is absent. Excused, rather.
And a motion to approve the agenda will be appropriate.
So moved.
Second by Warner, second by Berto. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have 2 minutes for review from August 20th and last week's October 8th. Any additions, deletions, subtractions? Denise, you already had one.
I already told Heidi about it. Taken care of.
I'm sorry, which one are we looking at? I'm sorry, guys.
We were looking at both the 20th and the 8th.
I have one from, the August, October, what's October 7th or 8th? Okay, from October.
Is it
Yeah.
page 16, line 4?
There is one kind of typo there. Hold on a second. Let me find it for you. Just a minute. Okay, here we go. Yes, okay, there we go. Okay.
Oh, no, I just saw one thing I highlighted as you're looking.
Okay,
On page
go ahead.
1833, I said, Housen also questioned the data sources. I thought I was questioning the data sources, but maybe both of us were. Page 1833, the data sources for the application of the grant.
For the program,
Okay, perhaps we both were.
okay. I saw a typo, but apparently I'm losing my mind and I did not. However, I don't know what line to insert this into. So this would maybe be discussion term the post office, a capital project for confirmed about this. I'm not quite sure, but what I thought should be added is.
What page are you on?
I am probably gonna be, should be inserted, I think.
Or which agenda item was it addressing?
It was addressing the SIP and it was addressing the administration, so I'm probably on page 17. And then, yeah, 17 and maybe line. Just line 46 or something. What I wanted to add was, and you guys, we can talk about this, but Housen suggested looking at eliminating the atrium. Schmelzer said we could ask McMahon what the additional charge would be to do one revision. Berto said maybe we could get it done for 25,000 using undesignated funds. The board could make a motion to have a redraw done without the atrium using these funds. It was the consensus that this be discussed at the village board meeting on October 18th. Berto then asked that this item be included on the agenda for that meeting. So there's a reference to amended, but there's no text in there describing the discussion. See what I mean? So it's in the video, so you want to verify it, it's in the video.
No, I know what you're talking about.
I don't know where to put it. I know.
I thought that discussion was to talk about the design at the next Parks meeting. So what was being referred for the agenda was discussion tonight for the McMahon contract, and then it goes back to Parks for design.
Right, but the discussion for tonight for the McMahon contract is because we talked about maybe we could get it done for 25,000 using undesignated funds.
So you just want
redraw.
to call out the reference to the money
I
and.
mean, there's no reference in there as to, why we're updating. There's no reference, there's no text in these minutes that would help somebody to understand why we're talking about not extending, but
Signing a new
signing a new
contract.
contract with them. That was all. It was just for context. It's not like if my name's in there, fine. If Julie's in there, and just for context, that's it. Just to understand like how we got from here to here.
Got it? Yep.
That's all. And I wrote it out if you want to see it. Or again, it's in the video and it's at, the minutes are 2 hours and 2 hours and 50 minutes is when it was discussed. Yeah, so we go pretty far in there. That's why I can't figure out what line it was, sorry. Well, that's
Okay.
okay.
Move to approve as amended?
So moved. Motion by Inger, second by Allison. All those in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Is Patrick?
Patrick is with us.
Do we not have any comments and correspondence?
Oh, I'm sorry. Apologies. Comments, correspondence, concerns from the public? Is there anybody that would like to speak in the public? There's 2 items in the packet. Okay. Then on to the minutes supervisor report.
Patrick, we're ready for you if you can hear us.
All right. Thank you very much and good evening. So just one thing to note for this month, what we have is the Highway Department is hosting a household hazardous waste collection event. That's going to be Friday, November 1st from 3:30 to 5:30, and that's going to be over at the fire station on Mill Road. This is a unique event where they're allowing you to bring a lot of household hazardous waste that includes anything from aerosol cans, fungicides, varnish, antifreeze, to be disposed of freely over at the fire station.
What time is that again, please?
3:30 to 5:30 p.m.
On what date?
It's a Friday, November 1st.
Friday, November 1st.
Is there anything that
So-
we could post on our website about that? Or do
I
they
was
have?
going to say,
Printed a poster?
there is a poster on the county website, which is under the Highway Department. If you go there, then highway information,
Oh, sorry.
It's also posted.
Okay.
and then there is a link right off of that page to 2024 hazardous waste collection event. And that has a full listing of what you can bring and what you can't bring, as well as the protocol for arriving at the fire station and what the expectation is. But that is all I have for new business for this month.
It's been about 3 months, hasn't it? Since
Yeah.
We had a last report.
I think that was June's last time.
Is there anything else that happened?
I mean, there's a lot going on in the county, but as far as Sister Bay particularly, I would say that for the most part, I think we had, oh no, that we had some fire numbers that were being readjusted, but not for Sister Bay. So most of what we're seeing in the county though is, the highways, obviously they're doing the construction. For Liberty Grove, Heartland 10, that is coming up here. But once again, for the municipality, there hasn't been a lot of changes.
What does Heartland 10 mean for Liberty Grove?
Heartland 10 is Liberty Grove Town Hall. They are Liberty Grove, the town of Liberty Grove is proposed an amendment to adjust those Heartland 10 zoned 10-acre lots. Currently, what they are zoned for is that if you own a business, and it needs to be a particular type of business, such as like automotive, right? You can open a business on a 10-acre lot if it's zoned Heartland 10, as long as you live on that lot. So there is a proposal by the town to the county RPC committee to change that to try and eliminate the requirement of having to live on those 10-acre lots. So they're looking to expand the ability of local businesses to obtain other 10-acre lots perhaps and build additional facilities there that are zoned in that Heartland 10 versus having some sort of conditional use proposal associated with it. So that change is happening, or that RPC meeting is happening this Thursday at 2 p.m. down in Sturgeon Bay.
Are there any other questions for Patrick about anything going on?
Well, I guess like Allison said, it's been 3 months and when Dave Lino was the representative and he would come and talk to us, he did not just give an update on things that would specifically affect Sister Bay. He would kind of give an all-around general update on the status of the county and kind of what you guys are working on, new projects, new.
Budget.
Yeah, he always talked about the budget. Especially right now at this time of
Especially
year,
at this time of
we
year.
would go through the budget.
Okay, I apologize, then, that's not what I was, the understanding of. I thought it was necessarily for Sister Bay here, so, but as far as the budget, we did have a budget meeting back in September. I don't have specifics in front of me, so if there was something specific that you wanted me to look into, I can do that and where that went, but obviously Dave was also the chairman of the county board, so he was involved in a lot more committees and had that reach there, so. But if that's what you're looking at as far as what to deliver on these meetings, yeah, I can change up. But I was primarily focused on changes to the municipality of Sister Bay.
So do you know how the budget is shaping up at the county? When will that be adopted and what do the numbers and any increases look like?
I don't have that in front of me. Again, I know we are having another budget meeting in November to finalize some of the specifics with that. So in the following meetings, I can have more.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, so for following meetings, I can make sure that I'm bringing those budget notes to you to have a follow-up on that.
Okay, can you come then to our November meeting? Would that be after your next finance budget meeting?
I don't believe so. When is your next one? So just looking at the calendar here.
November 19th is when we meet next.
Yeah, actually, it does fall under there. So I believe it's the 12th. So I should be able to, as long as my schedule provides for it. Yeah.
And I had a question. This is Louise Housen. And my question was, are there committees that could you let us know what the committees you're serving on with the county? Or I know you're new, so maybe you aren't, but if you could let us know about that.
Sure. I serve on the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee, as well as the Land Conservation Committee.
Okay.
Is anything happening with land and conservation? This is Allison.
So there is with Forestville, there is a big concern with the mill pond and kind of the future about what's going on there, whether to fill it back up or to leave it somewhat in a drained state. So obviously there's a lot of groups down in southern part of the county that are concerned about what's going on with that. As far as public safety, I can address that. We're looking at getting some new squad cars or service vehicles. Obviously, we have an aging fleet that needs to be replaced, so the county is looking at replacing those. And then as well as some of the towers. So this was a current one issue that we were just talking about, which is making sure that there's coverage of RF frequency for emergency responders all across the county. So we just had a meeting on that, and they were discussing some of the gaps, particularly some of them just off the top of my head that I can recall were over by the North Bay area, over by Bailey's Harbor, as well as further up the peninsula, north end of Ellison Bay, but to ensure that there's coverage for our emergency responders throughout the entire county. So right now we're discussing just tower heights, proposals, where the land could be acquired, and necessary to move to ensure that coverage is actually 100% across that. So that was one of the discussions we were just having. They are looking at bringing in municipalities next year to discuss some of that once we have, like I said, right now we are missing we have some gaps, and we're trying to identify some land parcels that the county might be able to purchase to put up additional towers there.
So this is for the new radio system. This is not to augment the existing.
This is for the existing radio system, but unfortunately we have coverage gaps of it too. So it will support future radios. But this overall project is to make sure that the county has that 100% coverage.
We've got a number in our CIP that we've had out there, what was,
20 million, 20,
yeah, $20 million.
over 20 million.
Yeah, that Chris has talked about for a while, so I guess I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding, so this would be you're actually potentially talking about putting this in there before the new radio system? That's a little surprising to me, not that I don't know there's gaps out there. But.
Right. No, some of the towers are being updated, right? So I'm not sure if you're talking about like the actual radios themselves, or maybe we're just talking about the same thing with that. But what they're doing is they're updating some of the towers as well as putting in new towers. That's the initiative to make sure that coverage is happening. So they could be, events that are, one and the same here. I'm not sure what information you have on that though.
So when you say bring in the municipalities, does that mean when you're looking to acquire land, you're looking at bringing in the municipalities or involving the municipalities in this plan in general?
From my understanding of what they were talking about with the municipalities, with bringing them in, it was in fact bringing them in to have more of a discussion to make sure that if land did need to be purchased, that was the case. We didn't get all the details with that. It was more of an update that we had. So.
Maybe talking about paying for it, because as far as I know, it hasn't been determined how it's being broken down, who's paying for it. Is that what the meeting might cover?
I don't have those details. I'm sorry. Like I said, it was more of a footnote on bringing municipalities into it next year.
So
But
maybe
I can-
next time, yeah, then maybe the next time, I'm not quite sure when your next public safety meeting would be, but getting a little bit more. Just a little bit more information about that, make it a little bit clearer, that would be great.
It's something that comes up pretty regularly for us, and it is a little bit of an unknown that what this cost is out there, and we want to prepare for it and understand it. So whatever information you can get us to would be appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. We should have another meeting before your next board meeting as well. So I'll have some more details surrounding that.
Anyone else, questions? So we look forward to seeing you at our next November meeting then. Thank you, Patrick.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
I have a question for Heidi. You said it's on the website. I pulled it up. Where?
You didn't find it? Should be under,
It's not on the homepage.
nothing's on the home.
That's the problem.
There's no way to put it on the home.
That's the problem.
Everything's under news and notices.
Sister Bay's webpage?
Yeah. Well, it's a separate discussion, and maybe we can have a separate discussion about that, but yeah, stuff like that on the homepage is because people, they'll go down like. Maybe they'll do one more click, they're not gonna,
I mean,
whether they're savvy or
right,
not, they're just not
when
gonna.
we have something this important,
Yeah.
things like this have to be on our homepage.
So you can Google hazardous waste in the search tab, and it'll take you right there, but.
But again, it's like, I'm not sure how. So we got a poster and
Can we get the original PDF or something like that from the highway department and try to distribute this?
Where do you
More
want it?
places than just the post office?
Sure, if you want the gas stations, the grocery store, that type of thing.
The library?
I did post it at the library.
Okay, that's good.
I put it in our three public places, the admin building, the
Okay.
library, post office, and then on the website.
well, my experience with posters is the best places where they eat, where they shop, where they play, and where they pray. So if you can, again, it could go into the church notices, I think we might have a connection there, but when is this? It's November
Number,
1st.
I mean, it's pretty quick,
Pretty fast, yeah.
so, I mean, for sure, I would want one.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other one that was good that we used a lot was the children's center.
Mm.
They'll put, 'cause for families and things like that, I know they're crazy enough, but So we probably could, you know, I'm happy to help with that, but if you've got a poster, just make copies of it. Forget the PDF file. Just make some
That's it.
copies of it, you know, and take it to the bank, take it to the pig, I would take it to the medical center, you know, go to where do people go the most?
We have been told at the medical center that they will only post things in their staff lounges.
Yeah, I know, that's, okay, yeah, okay. Okay, well, there's a lot, you know, never mind, there's got a lot of people up here this weekend, but. Okay.
Okay, on to 7, ordinances and resolutions, surplus property policy.
Okay, in your packet on page 28 and 29, you see the current policy. The Parks, Property and Streets Committee has recommended some revisions to make it a much simpler policy to administer. Goes quicker, easier. The revised policy is on page 26.
My only question was on number 3. It said they shall be offered to a nonprofit organization following the process outlined in 2 above, if there's something over $5,000. But 2 above says it will go to a village nonprofit, I believe. So what if there is no village nonprofit that wants it? Can we offer it to a non-village nonprofit?
No, as a matter of fact, we had discussed that, and the thought was if it doesn't go to a local nonprofit, then we just, oh, I'm sorry. No, it just goes to a public auction site to continue to try and sell it.
So outdated or unused equipment and vehicles with an anticipated value of 5,000 or greater shall be advertised on a public surplus auction site. If after 60 days it doesn't sell, then it should be offered to a nonprofit organization following the process in number 2. So if nobody wants it, then it goes back to auction again?
Right.
Okay. Sounds good.
Motion to approve, is that what we need?
Yes. By Nelson,
Yes.
Second?
second by Shampo, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, 8A. McMahon contract for village administrative building design.
Okay, following our CIP meeting, I did talk with McMahon and, they had recommended instead of a $25,000 policy, it be a time and materials, contract. A time and materials contract not to exceed 24,500.
But he thought that was reasonable for what we wanted, what we're requesting him to do.
Yeah, we talked about whether it would be the full 25,000, because as you know how much time that took to burn through that, so he felt, time and materials would be best for the village, because it probably wouldn't cost as much.
Okay.
So on page 33, it says the final design is not included in the scope of services. What does that mean?
Right, so what they do is, this is just the architectural services, and then they give us a general overview of what the cost, they believe the cost would be. After that, we have to put it out for request for proposals for the construction drawings.
And that's the final design.
Right, and that's the one that then would go out to bid for, builders, because it would be very specific. This is the type of heating, these are where the outlets are, these are where your hose bibs are, it's very detailed at that.
Okay.
So that'd be the next step after we have the design.
So if we approve this new contract, does that mean that the other project that was presented to us is dead? Or what if we don't like the new design because the board has not yet given it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? And so even though it was my suggestion to appease some, Or then
I
would,
can see it
would
as
we
being
look at
that.
both of them and see which one we like better?
I didn't see it as being that.
I didn't either,
Yeah.
Louise. My understanding was we would still have plan A on the table.
Yeah.
And we'd look at plan B.
Yeah,
Okay.
because, I mean, actually, when you, what you said, which was, actually even a little bit more detailed, which is true, is, if we're comfortable with the offices and we're comfortable with the meeting space and everybody in the room, I think all the board members were comfortable with offices. I remember well, but I remember everyone speaking, including myself, that they were. And with the meeting space, and you explained that the meeting space was same size as where we meet here. Including the, smaller meeting space. It was really just can we design something, can something be designed by eliminating the atrium, can something be designed that's still aesthetically pleasing and still work?
How
without-
much is this gonna cost in new, architectural drawings and plans?
Well, that's what the
That's what this
contract
is.
The 24,
24.
That's what this is, right?
Which in, a 3 to 4, I'm just gonna say. In a $3 to $4 million project, $25,000 is a drop in the bucket. Yes, we are taking it out of our undesignated balance fund because we did not budget funds for that. I I hate to spend the money, but it also gives us a choice.
and we don't know how much it's gonna save us
Correct.
on the final
Right.
building.
But we did say that, I think Denise even mentioned that, it was looking like the final billing was gonna be over 3 million.
Right.
But no one knows, I'm not suggesting that that's what's gonna happen, but we've heard loud and clear from at least the people that showed up. That maybe we should take another look at something without that particular design element.
I mean, what? And so if we vote on this tonight and we work with Mike again, and he will come back to Parks.
Yes, as a matter of fact.
So, okay, that's all I needed to know was a yes.
I think what.
Then I want very specific. Before I vote on this. On what this board wants or doesn't want in that redraw.
That's what I thought. I thought we might have a chance to discuss, because we've never, as a board, talked about the building. So,
The design of the building, because, well, the process is that Parks talks about it
Does.
and then makes a recommendation and it goes to the board, just like with the Parks building.
so what is the
Like
purpose?
when you were on Parks, you guys decided and it came to the board and that was,
But that building never made it as far as the boards. We never got to discuss it and send it back to Parks. It came to the CIP and we just
Right.
sent it back without actually talking about it. So I'm glad we might have a chance. So what is the purpose of the atrium? Is it just for design? Was there?
There's 3 purposes. One is design with the direction that we gave McMahon from the very beginning, even before McMahon was in the picture, if I'm correct, Julie. That we did not want a utilitarian building. We wanted it to blend in as much as what it could possibly blend in with the historical Lagerquist corner. So we talked about, having some kind of a farmhouse feel, even though it's a large building. So that was the first direction that McMahon was given. When we, the chambers originally was holding about 175 people. That's how it was drawn. And we shrunk that down to 75. And then talked about that there would be this sliding wall between the chambers and the atrium. That if we had a very large event or meeting or something, that the overflow could be in the atrium. And then the other thing that we talked about is having So I don't think these specific words were used, but something like a hotel lobby in that atrium space with some chairs, you know, or whatever were comfy little seating places where people could sit and chat, and having, whether you want to call them a kiosk or something, where we could display what's ever going on in the village, where we could put up notices, even beyond the official posting places that we have, where we could put up large drawings, or when the housing study was done, or the comp plan, any things that we're getting input from the public on, they could be displayed there. We heard a lot at last week's meeting, you know, this is the first time I've seen it or heard of it or whatever. There's all kinds of answers to that question that I'm not even going down that rabbit hole. But it would give us the opportunity to have a place where, you know, we could display.
We can
things that are
still, I'm
going-
not suggesting that we don't do that.
I love that space. I love when I go past Acuity. You've never seen a larger atrium by a company that sells insurance that says, we're gonna make people know that we are successful, man, because it's like a giant cavernous place. When you go down the highway, it looks beautiful. Have people come into the community, they can walk into that place like you're saying and see these kiosks without bothering the staff. They can see what's on site and leave if they wish. Or hang out, and it's a gathering space. You're not gonna go into the boardroom and gather when a meeting's going on. You're not gonna go in by Julie and the crew and bother them, but you can see a lot of what's going on in the community just by just coming into the village and knowing that that's there, you can find out what's going on. I love the atrium, and the height gives you an artistic, good feeling.
Well, would have been good to tell the people that came to the meeting that you did.
I'm
'Cause
sorry,
You didn't tell anybody at the meeting last week.
no, I
that you
did
loved
not,
it.
I'm starting to talk.
That's nice, without any residents here. I don't see why
But
that's
we
funny.
weren't talking really about the
Um,
design, we were talking
well,
about the
we were.
dollar.
Because I will repeat what you said, which was that we would go back and take another look at the atrium. Because their complaints were the atrium, and there's no kitchen. So they can't use it, except to sit there in a chair that's comfy and look at whatever we're displaying, which could still be done without the drama of the atrium. Many people stood up and said, where's the kitchen? So if the Lions want to have a meeting, or the Historical Society wants to have a meeting, or anybody wants to have any kind of, there's no kitchen. You know, there are,
Can I interrupt you just for a sec?
one second,
Okay.
so there's no kitchen. They really did say, listen to the video. Watch the video. It's been out there for 5 days. Listen, these are people that voted for you. And listen to what they had to say. It's not that, like, if we take the atrium away, is it gonna cost, you know, significantly less? Probably not, because guess what? It was gonna be more than 3 million anyway. The point is that they were surprised because the first time they saw it was in the Pulse, because it wasn't available to see online until last week's meeting, because it wasn't in a packet until last week's meeting, because he never came here in person. He only Zoomed with us. We didn't make it available for the public to see until last week's meeting. So that's why. So the point is that this is what they said to us. And I just am baffled that now it's okay and it's
We didn't finalize that.
impressive and it's, looks like acuity and we can put up a giant flag and it just blows me away. That it's like the meeting, you never hear anything they said.
I think that's, I disagree with that.
I don't
I
think
think
that's
that's
fair to say.
unfair.
Listen to the, watch the video. Have you watched the video?
I heard
Watch it.
everything
I
that
was
they
here.
said,
Okay.
and before I get into that, I would like to say, I heard about the kitchen, But we're talking about putting in a kitchen in the Warming House Community Center.
Right.
So do we want to build two? And if this board gives the parks direction and say, yep. Even though I thought I only heard one person talk about a kitchen. She brought it up a couple of times. Maybe there was more.
I watched the video twice.
Okay. So if this board wants us to put a kitchen in there, then please tell us now, because it was not our intention, because we were planning it for the Warming House Community Center.
I agree, it should be with the warming house.
Secondly, we are elected to have all the information, to know all of the facts. And just because there were many people that spoke, and I thought it was a great meeting, and a lot of their questions were answered, a lot of their facts were incorrect, and they didn't know the history. So just because somebody says something doesn't mean that I have to give it the same exact weight for when I know all the information. I've worked on the project. I heard, they were heard, I heard them.
They were heard, and we're going to vote to do exactly what we said we were gonna do to begin with. Doesn't sound like they were heard, and they won't think that way either.
Well, I feel like the kitchen thing, I feel like they read the paper article and it said, and it doesn't have a kitchen, so I think everybody's just like, and it doesn't have a kitchen, just repeating. I feel like they're just repeating what they read in the
But
paper.
nobody uses the kitchen here but the firemen. It's the firemen's
I'm just-
That's
kitchen.
what I'm wondering, at the
you know what?
administration building, are they
It's fine.
going to be using the
You
administration?
guys, I am trying to make a point that less than a week ago, we had a very different discussion, and I would encourage all of you.
Well, I was hoping the picture would be in this packet, but I still do not know where to find the pictures
Because
of
it
the
doesn't
administration
exist.
building.
And
There
except
is
that
one that
one
exists in a parks packet.
I'm looking
Yeah.
I'm looking at the
from a
parks
week
packets
ago.
right now.
If she can't find it, imagine how much fun it is for one of our residents to find it.
Is it October or September? It must be September.
I do want to say in Mike's
It's the
defense,
September
I do want
meeting.
to say in Mike's defense, that plan was not finalized until the day before the CIP meeting. The Parks Committee did not finalize it until the 7th. That's why it wasn't in the CIP packet.
And I don't.
He could have come in
this
person
packet.
with
Where
plans,
is
and
this?
people that were here could
But
have
Louise,
seen it.
we're already past contract. We already burned up the money. We're obligated on contract.
So the
Well,
picture in the Pulse was not very pretty. It was not very, but I heard it's supposed to look more like a farmhouse than that Pulse picture.
It looks exactly like that,
But does it have a porch?
Yes.
yes.
So that was not in the Pulse picture. So in the
Yeah,
Pulse
it is.
pic,
You just can't tell if I'm looking at it.
well,
Porch.
all I saw so far was the Pulse picture, and I can see why people are unhappy because it didn't look very great. And, you know, it was written with the spin that there's no kitchen and it's really expensive. So I thought we would all
I
have a
don't
chance
think
to
it was-
actually look at the picture, get a little better idea of these drawings before we
The reason he
vote to
says,
spend $25,000 more. I don't know, I'd like to. Can somebody just tell me where the real picture is?
I can tell you where it is.
So the October Parks meeting packet is not the correct picture?
I don't think it's in there. It was,
Let
It's
me see
not
what's in there. It's
September.
probably the October Parks packet. It's pretty, yes,
okay,
it's pretty close. That's it.
October 7th?
She's gonna,
it's the
Heidi's gonna
only,
try and put it up on the
it's the only
screen.
digital one you will see unless you go to the video.
Page it up.
And the video was the only way the Pulse could get the photo, because it was never
Sorry.
available.
21. Oh, there it is, 20.
So the way it works with the contractors, you guys, is every draft, they don't put that out there because people think that's it then. They wait till they have the final one and then they give it to us. So we finalized the plan on the 7th. And then he sent me the drawing. So after our parks meeting on the 7th, I got the final drawing. And I did not know you wanted it in the packet, or I would have put it in the packet. I thought you just wanted to discuss a contract to revise it. I will say, just real quick, on the atrium, something to add there is the staff, the clerk, the utility clerk, and the admin assistant faces you go up to a window there. Once you're in the atrium, you go up to a window there, so you do have to have something there.
Yeah, you have no access to any of the staff members.
Right,
You see them through glass.
yeah, so you would have to have some type of atrium there.
Right, just like when you go to the clinic. It's the same thing. They have three or four people all in there.
But no, the clinic isn't secured with lock and key. They are.
I always find it hard to communicate through glass.
It opens up,
Oh,
it just locks at night to be secure.
okay. Well, this looks better with some detail.
I mean, really, so what we're looking at having is an option B here. I think that we should look and see what this looks like without a flare. And have it, with a. Have it be a flare instead of this large area in there, the atrium. I mean, you can still have it walking in area there. I think the other thing I would say is. We cannot add on to the existing admin building. Nobody's ever considered that because it'd be absolutely insane and it's impossible to do so. Where we're at here, yes, we need a plan for the future, but we also have a chance to modify this far more readily than we have in the existing lot. So I think that we should consider the future, but also understand we do have some room in the future for course correct. It's not a postage stamp of a lot. I don't know that a kitchen makes sense. I mean, I heard what people said in the audience, and I hear what you're saying too, Denise, saying you have to hear those voices and weight them appropriately and make sure you pay attention to them. I do think that this grand atrium, to your point, Kurt, like you go there to Acuity, you say, wow, they're doing great. Well, when you walk into there and you're a
That's not
taxpayer, you say,
that- That's not the point.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. The people that objected are paying for it.
Kurt, go ahead.
Every time we say the people are paying for it, every time we go back to something, all of a sudden it's going from 3 to 3.5 to 4 million. It's like, man, the plan from the start looks good. And I'm more concerned about the 5 people that are working in this structure. And I heard them last week that, you don't need to stick them in another little box somewhere.
We're not suggesting that.
What are we suggesting?
I think you take out an atrium,
What
there's
you-
still a lot of.
The footprint for the offices would stay the same. Did you not hear that?
I came from a village in Pleasant Prairie in Kenosha, where they had a really fine gathering space. For the large village that it is, by prime outlets and all that stuff. And all the big structures for all the industrial places down there. But when you went to that village hall, you felt welcomed. You didn't walk down a hallway like this, like you're going into a little classroom in a school, like an elementary area. You want it to be welcoming. Free, like I did at Parkside in Kenosha. My God, it was cavernous. And they utilized that space down the road in many ways for concerts and gatherings and all kinds of things.
I think
Won't be doing that.
Kurt, there's a number of public spaces out there that are available. This is still a facility that's gonna be available. This is not going away. So I think we scaled this back a little bit. I don't think that we should try and include a kitchen. Let's not try and do everything there. But I do think we should see what it looks like without an atrium and find out we're gonna get a rough idea what the cost difference is.
What if it was more of a square shape than just such a long building? I mean, I think of farmhouses as being like 2-story squares, not
Well, that's why the center was 1.5 stories,
to try to give that.
the farmhouse feel.
I think
Looks
it's
like the old
important to
horse
keep that
stables.
feeling, to keep that look for that unique property. And
Unless
maintain the historical look there. I do not want to see a modern, any type of modern or administration building on that property. That would just be terrible, it would look awful.
What if it was more of a square shape with that type of facade? I mean, it can be more like a false facade. It doesn't have to be a big atrium, but you could see that coming in and then.
I mean, I guess we leave that
Where
to
should-
Mike.
Yeah, I think that Mike would be much more skillful at
Right.
that
I'm
than.
just saying, I like all this utilization of space. I think everybody agrees that it's all necessary. Offices and everything else in here.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree, it doesn't seem like it's a building that people are going to, well, I guess except for meetings, but yeah, the ice rink will be the village hall.
Residents will go there for meetings for whatever reason, they're going to the admin office now.
But nobody eats at the office now.
Right, so that's why I think we all were in agreement that we wouldn't necessarily need, a kitchen there. But in terms of any other use for residents, unless they're going to a meeting or need to meet with the admin staff, there's no other use for residents.
I guess I
And
need to
should there
hear,
be? That's a
I'm
question,
just
should there be?
Suggesting.
If we're gonna have
I
a
don't think-
warming house community center?
I need to know more about that. This is the first I'm hearing about the community center with the warming house.
Well, we've been talking about that for 2 years.
Well, I'm sorry, I haven't heard about it yet.
That's
Yeah,
been a lot
Not
of
on that
parks.
committee.
Yep, it's been talked about, we've been talking about it. Parks
So the
and-
communities, the future community center will be at the warming house. And
New-
then we'll have a
new
kitchen.
Structure, yes.
Well, the warming house is a kitchen now, yeah, it'll be larger and hopefully. a community
So-
center.
If we have a community group, nonprofit or something that wants to have some type of a fundraiser or just thank you
Pop-up
dinner,
dinner.
or whatever, they can have it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's years away, but that would be,
Or at the
that
village
was
hall.
the idea.
Or
Right
at the
now,
village
Village
hall.
Hall is the next, is the only, actually probably the only option, unless they do something here.
And putting up displays could be at either place. So it's only a question of expansion, really. Well, I think it's a good idea to give Mike one more shot at it.
So
See if we can-
this board has decided then that there will be no kitchen.
Anybody else have thoughts on anything? It sounds like we have consensus on no kitchen.
I'm okay with no kitchen. It will save us some money and we have 2 other places to have kitchens.
Well, it's not just like, it's not gonna cost us more money because it wasn't part of the plan. And I know that's a little semantic, but we're not adding anything to it.
So then the only thing is to reconfigure the center, the atrium space. And however that shakes out, but that the size is, each of the wings stays basically the same depending upon how Mike would configure it to look aesthetically pleasing.
I'm assuming you had some preliminary conversations with him about this.
I did tell Mike what happened at the CIP meeting, and I said they want to see a new contract just to make revisions. We talked about how much work, do you think you'd have to be redesigning all the offices, et cetera? It probably would not cost as much the second time. I do want to just go through the
We
scope
talked
of,
about redesigning offices.
no, that's what I told
Yeah.
him.
There might
So
be
that
some
would-
reconfiguration as you move stuff around, but it's gonna be,
I told him I did not think the offices would be redesigned or anything, so the cost should not be as high, is what I told him. I do want to talk about the scope of services. He has one in-person meeting in here.
Yep.
We've talked about this in our contracts before, that Mike doesn't come up all the time because it's easier for him to be on that big screen, moving it around and we can see his changes. It just works better that way. That's why he does them virtually, and it saves us money because he's in Neenah. So you're paying him, you pay him to come up here, and that's now 6 hours that you chewed up in your contract.
Well, this says limit 3 hours, so that doesn't include drive time, right?
So he has one,
In-person design workshop.
he's gonna
limit
do-
3 hours.
he'll come up for a workshop, not to exceed 3 hours. And he'll do 2 virtual meetings.
Okay.
When he comes up, though, there is time, we do pay his
It
time
doesn't,
to
it
get
doesn't
here.
include.
Yeah.
travel time.
What about this? So if we're set on the office space and we're set on the chamber space and the conference room and the storage room and the bathrooms. Would it, and if we're not gonna ask him to add a kitchen. Does it even make sense for him to meet with Parks in person for that first meeting? I think it might make, I think he should just start drawing. And then
Oh, I see what you mean.
when he's got something to show us, because I think that's,
Well, that's what I
that
assumed.
first meeting would be a wasted meeting, definitely in person. We need to see a drawing first.
I guess I.
If
assumed
we're
that.
just asking him to, you know, to reconfigure it and make the square footage a little bit smaller,
Yes, I can definitely talk to
I
him
mean,
about that.
does everybody else agree with me? And then I
So-
think when we get to the end, then maybe he can come and we can fine tune something or have him in person at that time.
Do you,
So directionally, he would get direction on what to do from Julie, right,
From us right now, and if that's the only thing,
from us right now.
yeah, this board right here. Make the atrium smaller. Figure out how it's gonna look.
Well, I think rather than, but another way to say that too is that we still want a waiting area. There still needs to be some sort of a comfortable way that people can wait if they need to. And then, also, since, you know, we need that area can also function as, a place, whether there's a place for, displays, whether there's a glass case, sorry, yeah, a glass display case on the wall that can, you know, all the notices and things like that we currently have on the window. And or if we've got easels or something like that, that would show any kind of design work.
I have a question looking at this. Seems like we have, so that's a lot of bathrooms.
I was thinking the bathroom.
They're
big?
built one stall over code.
Well, but also.
So one
we don't have-
men's, women,
Right, we don't
one
have to have
men's,
family bathroom.
one women's
That's nice.
is beyond current code and the family is beyond current code.
Right,
I think it's very important to have a family.
I think so too.
And I'm sorry to say, but you can never have enough women's bathrooms.
No, that's true.
And the mechanical electric sprinkler room, is that needed, that size?
So the-
Mike wouldn't have drawn it if we don't need the space.
I asked those questions.
I thought it was just to use up the rest of the room.
I asked all those questions.
Those were originally additions off the back, and that
Brought them
added to the
inside.
cost, so you put them inside.
Yeah, I was looking at
They
those
made
are
the
the two
building
places
bigger,
we
but
could
it's
save space,
cheaper.
maybe the bathroom and the mechanical.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Alice.
Oh, I was just looking at the drawing and the only place I could see saving space was making the bathroom one stall smaller and the mechanical electric room, but if that's necessary, then,
I like a John with room.
okay.
I don't like shaking hands with the guy next to me.
Well, you might,
I just
they're
know.
all squeezed in here.
Man, I go here to the John and it's like, it's disgusting. How you doing in the mirror? Good.
so we're really talking about collapsing that atrium and the waiting room into one room. Right? And we still need a waiting area, but we don't need those to be two separate areas. We'd still like some display area, but we wanna, I'm thinking we ought to reduce that atrium by 2/3 in size and combine it with a waiting room roughly.
Atrium is the waiting room.
No, there's a separate waiting room.
Oh, there is a waiting
There is a way.
That's right, yeah. Okay, yeah, sure.
room right here.
Yeah, I mean,
Where are you pointing?
do we need to have a
Right
waiting
here is a
room?
waiting room.
So I guess I'm saying is we shrink the atrium and combine the use.
Can I look at your screen?
Absolutely. This is.
I am.
There's a waiting room here. When you first walk in.
I think it's
Before you get to all
Oh,
offices.
that's, yeah. That's probably if you're waiting to go to see somebody in the office, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that may be there just because that's how the footprint shook out.
Sure. Well,
But if it's redesigned, it may stay, it may go.
Well, it's there because there was space.
well,
There it is.
It's also the future office.
Yep, we built one office for the future.
And there's another office for one of the part-time people.
Which could currently be used by our building inspector who doesn't have an office.
There's a village administrator office and there's also an administrator office. Administration office, what's the
Assistant.
assistant to the administrator? Okay, I'm sorry, I
That's
asked these
general.
questions. Yeah, okay, I get it.
Something I wanna talk to you about is this project will always be a little higher than I think we expect, because when we annexed Loggerquist, we were supposed to connect it to sewer and we never did. So that's a little over that's about $200,000 that we should have connected. That will be, unless we pay for that somewhere else, that will always be wrapped in here. So this project will always include that $200,000 that we should have done when we.
So it's not part of the
Yes,
3
sir.
million.
You're saying that when we annexed it, we should have just put sewer and water in right away? Is that
You
what
have
you're-
to by code, that's what your code says. And that didn't happen, so that'll happen when this building is built, we'll become compliant with that.
Is that $200,000? I mean, I understand this was just a budget term, that 3 million, but that $200,000 is above and beyond the 3 million that we've.
No, that, the 3 million you set aside for this building is gonna have to include that 200,000 to
Okay.
fix our mistake. I shouldn't say mistake, but.
But if we already
Something to
know the
discuss
building's
is-
gonna be over 3 million and if that's 200 and we don't know what the 47 parking places are gonna be.
Well, I have some
There's
estimates on
47
that.
parking places.
I have, I don't know the number, Louise, but I do have some, estimates on what it
It's not
costs.
in that.
But just so everybody's aware of that, so I don't know if you wanna say well, you've already approved the CIP at 3 million, but you might wanna talk about the 200,000 and should that really be taken out of that 3 million or should that be funded somehow else?
Well, I think you can. I think you have to borrow for it. I don't think it should be included in.
I thought when we discussed it, all of the infrastructure was in the 3 million. I remember that distinctly at the Parks meeting when we discussed it with him.
Mike said he hoped so.
He hoped so, about the parking lot, not the rest of the infrastructure.
The cost estimate that I have, which I got yesterday, includes the blacktop and all this other stuff. What I'm saying is that 200,000, or that run that sewer lateral to the Loggerquist property should have been done already. So it'll be wrapped into this project because it's gotta be done, but is it
Yeah.
fair that this building fund that lateral?
I don't remember discussing this at Parks at all.
I was just wondering where this new infrastructure, as far as the sewer and water, it ties into over by, I guess, the sports complex, because we just went through all that with where that was gonna connect with Megan from between the new visitor, whatever you call what is the building?
Community
that's gonna-
center warm.
Yeah, community center, how we tied it through there. If there's nothing over that way, what are we tying into to go to the ad building?
So everything kind of ends up at the corner of Maple and Woodcrest is kind of where everything. kind
That's
of
where
comes
everything
off.
connects,
Yeah.
okay.
So to head south to this property, like I said, the house should have been connected when we annexed it. It wasn't, so now this project will have to pay to run it that way.
It's like 50 parking spots.
Big yellow taxi, Dave Paradise, put up a parking lot. Some people are always upset at paving.
So I guess I heard two different things. Just said that, yes, the $3 million includes that $200,000 and that $3 million shouldn't include that $200,000.
I think Julie suggested we budget more.
Well, I was just asking you, how you want to handle that? Do you want that 200,000 wrapped into this? Do you want your 3 million that you put in the CIP to include the 200,000 for that lateral? Or should that 200,000 be paid for separately?
Separate.
If this is a private development, how would that be treated? Private development would have to pay for it.
Private development would have to run it to their building site. The difference is, like I said, we do have a code that says when you annex, you run it to, you put it on the sewer. The code
I
says-
guess why are we just talking about the annex?
Yeah, we
that
bought
part of
it
the
a year
code?
ago.
Yeah, just now, that seems like something that should have come up well before that.
It's because when I looked at this and when we looked at this, this project would be a lot cheaper if we were just going from where that lateral was supposed to go. That didn't happen. If you just went from there to the building, that's not that much money. But because you now have to run it all the way from the corner just to get to this building, it adds $200,000 to the project. Which means your building is really, if you keep within 3 million, your building really has to come in at 2.8.
I think we could sit and spin our wheels on that, and I think, if we want a plan B and a second design, that we concentrate on that and worry about what the number is for what was currently drawn that Mike is done with, and what the number is for the new one that's a little bit smaller. And I think then we can, in that conversation, we can have,
We can have a much more intelligent conversation.
Correct.
Instead of what ifs and,
yes.
okay.
Well, there's no what if, it's 200 grand for the lateral. That's
Well,
not
but-
what if,
Yeah, but if it's 2.8 million, then it's,
then it's 3 million,
then
gotcha,
it's 3 million, so I think that,
okay.
let's figure out. Let's figure out the big number before we worry about the small number.
Okay.
Question I had on this is, the completion date is the day before the village board meeting, is that just happen to be 4 weeks out, or does it mean this is? 34. Completed on or about November 18th, 2024. I don't know that it needs to come, I mean, like, we want to see. If the village board wants input, you need to show up with the parks committee. We don't have any more input, so I think kind of how I read that.
I know, but that's why I'm asking for as many specifics as possible tonight.
I get that, but I guess what I'm saying is the contract's gonna be closed at the next village board meeting. Then if we do anything else, then we start getting real stupid then, but. Well, I'm just curious, is that just what 4 weeks was, just put on the calendar, and that's what?
It was a month from the meeting, it was a month from our meeting, it gave us a month.
Well, then
to
what
figure
are
out.
we planning on having multiple special parks meetings in a month's period of time?
Well, if the thought was, all he was having to do was address that atrium. And the design, I
Okay.
mean, it's,
Okay, he doesn't need a lot of time, then is the point.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the next part.
Well, so it may be done by November 18th, but I would imagine that Parks would be reviewing it at their December meeting, whatever date that falls on.
Well, the November meeting is November 4th, the December meeting is December 2nd.
so he has here that he's gonna do, just like you said, about how he's gonna start drawing and redrafting tomorrow. Right, October or 16th, but that would have been, yeah. This week, so he's starting to read, this would say he starts redrafting right now. He would go to the Parks Committee with what he has, get any other input, and he'd wrap it up. His intention was he should be able to do that in about.
Okay.
And that's enough time, huh, Parks? Parks, are you comfortable with that? Louise, Denise?
I am.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't just take the atrium out and squish the two sides together
Right.
for 25,000.
I believe that any architect that has made Denise as happy as she has been with him is gonna find a way to do that well.
It's his name on those plans, and that's one of the reasons why when we tried shrinking the atrium, not to be, have a 25-foot span, that it looked ridiculous, and he couldn't put his name on something like that.
Is that enough direction you want a motion? Yeah, we do, because we're authorized.
Approve the contract.
Yeah.
Fine, motion to approve contract.
Motion by Allison,
Second.
second by Howard, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Eight B, development agreement coming of age. Yes, this has come before us before. Few times.
Yeah, so this came out of planning and basically what it does is, the chase or the outside of the fireplace or chimney. Was slab stone and they wanted to put siding on it, planning commission agreed to that. Then they just wanted to, change the dimensions of the patios off the back of the building a little bit and put a roof over it. So that changes, because the development agreement approved those plans, when you make a change, you need an amendment. So planning commission approved this and had no issues with it.
The patios don't get bigger.
Just a little bit, they were just. They kind of connect, the other patios did not connect together.
Okay.
So this is more like an L shape.
Okay, the patios are on the east side of the building?
Nope, they're on the west side, they're on the
They're
back
just-
of the building.
Are there two buildings here?
There will be, yes.
Okay. And what?
There will be two,
It's two-unit buildings.
because I see one building there now.
They're only putting one up right now.
Okay, where's the other one going, please?
Right next to it, it would be.
Okay, just what's showing,
They're side by
okay. Cause I saw them in the drawing, I'm going, why, I see two.
Yeah,
And I think in the beginning there were three,
Correct,
yeah.
but there's just two and two buildings, each one is 2 units. But they've only put one up so far.
Are they here today?
I don't know.
Okay,
Theoretically, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve this.
Motion by Shampo,
Second,
second by Harf, all those in favor?
I,
Opposed, motion carries. The conditional license surrender.
So not unlike other requests you have had, a business is being sold in the village of Sister Bay. Once you no longer own it, you can't have a license for liquor or tobacco on the premises. So Amos Goez, the owner of Ain Country Mtg, is asking to conditionally surrender his licenses until there's contingent on the closing of the property, which is to take place tomorrow.
Okay.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Otherwise, a motion would be appreciated.
I'll make that motion. Motion by Bell. Second by Warner, those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Following the license surrender then is a request from Rana LLC to purchase they're purchasing the property and to obtain alcohol and tobacco licenses for the gas station. It's turnkey operation. They're gonna run it in the same manner that's being run now, so no changes. They're looking for a combination class A liquor license and then the tobacco license. There is a staff report in the packet that talked about fees that were collected, and the application is there if you have any questions.
He didn't sign page 50 or date page 53.
Yeah, I noticed, I was looking at all this, he didn't date page 53, nor did he put a year on page 55.
And then 54, it doesn't say municipal, he didn't check the box, municipal retail license.
This is the same owner who has the mobile station currently. So,
And,
can go
and
back
the
and-
Fish Creek BP, I think,
yes.
also.
We can.
And then it also is not check marked under on page 56. How will the tobacco be sold?
Oh, the counter. Okay. I can have them fill those out tomorrow.
And you would set on page 57 the
Yeah,
year.
57 is missing the year and the other ones,
Yeah.
55 is missing the year twice.
I have an appointment to meet his wife tomorrow to finalize everything, because I have to verify that the closing actually takes place before they get any licenses.
We do have this on the website, right?
The application forms.
We should really, I mean, the majority of the time you cannot read people's handwriting. We really need to try to direct them to type it in.
Is it a fillable PDF?
Yep.
It is. I did it. So moved.
Motion by Berto,
Second.
with the caveat that all the mistakes.
Complete the application and verify closing.
And then page 59, he didn't check original or change.
Second by Harf, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. MOU, Badger Box.
So the village has purchased Badger books, and I just personally have to say I'm very excited to get to use them next year. Badger books are the state-approved electronic poll book for Wisconsin. There are currently 305 municipalities using them in the state, which is almost 40% of the population. So Sister Bay will be the first in Door County to join that crew.
And so how is that different then? We don't sign the paper book that you have?
It'll be a tablet.
Okay.
It's raised on a little stand. It'll be a tablet you sign. It will really greatly reduce any human errors that come with filling out those poll books. Because even though I have two poll workers sitting side by side, they sometimes can't put the voter number in the correct spot in both books.
Oh.
And sometimes people are signing the wrong box. So it will save time as well. But we're looking forward to our training, which is coming up in December. The state does require, though, this memorandum of understanding so that we have very specific guidelines we have to follow to ensure that we are using them properly. They will provide us free training, free support, software updates, that type of thing, all aligned in the memorandum for the life of that we're using the software. So I think that eventually the entire state will be on board. So this is more the formality piece of it. After this gets signed, there will be another memorandum coming to the board because the county will no longer be providing our election administration. Because I wanted to go with the Badger books, they have asked that I become a self-provider for the village and I'll do all my own WisVote work, which is the data entry site for elections right now. So I don't have a problem with that. Hopefully you won't either when we get that memorandum.
So moved.
Motion by Bertle,
Second.
second by Harf, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Introduction of ordinance, chapter 6, alcoholic beverages.
Okay, so hopefully you had a chance to take a look at this in the packet. Sorry, I'll just very quickly look at my staff report. As you are aware, this spring we had a small problem with an applicant for a liquor license not coming on time to file that application. And even though it's in state statute that there's a process for remedying that, it's not in our village ordinance. So I revised chapter 6 to include that procedure, which is highlighted in red, the addition of section 6.11 provisional licenses to the ordinance. There were also some changes with the passage of Act 73 this last December that were not addressed by our ordinance. Specifically, Class C wine licenses no longer require you to be a restaurant, which we had in our ordinance. And the state is offering an operator's permit rather than a license, which we offer. Those permits are good anywhere in the state of Wisconsin. And our ordinance does not address how to handle those because we had in there that you have to provide proof that you have an operator's license from the municipality. That will no longer be the case. So I made those couple of changes to the ordinance and I'm ready to answer questions if you have them.
Well, I think it's ridiculous, and I don't think that we can do anything about it. That it can't exceed $15.
Correct. Waste of time, really. Yeah.
And is it also by statute, the provisional license is valid for 60 days?
Yes.
I was just wondering about the page 73, no person may hold more than one provisional retail license for each type of license applied for by the holder per year. So if one owner has 2 restaurants and they forget to turn in their papers, they can only get a provisional license for one. Is that correct? That's page 73, D4.
D4, no. That's how I would read it.
And is that a Wisconsin thing or is that?
This all comes straight from Wisconsin statute. So I reached out to the clerks network to see what kind of conditions other municipalities would have placed on their application process for provisional licenses. No one does anything different than what's in statute. So this is exactly what comes from statute. It, you know, you could put additional conditions, I would think, on there within reason. But no one else has. So I had nothing else
Yeah,
to,
I didn't want additional, I just didn't know it.
yeah.
I mean, it would be rare that somebody would have
I would
more
suspect
than one
that,
restaurant and forget.
right, and I would suspect that, that it's never gonna happen that I have to issue this license, but because it happened this year, and we didn't have an avenue for them to take, they had to come to special board meeting and go through that, whole process. Now that we have this in there, they will always remember to apply on time. Fingers crossed.
I have another question about the changes in, Act 73. So the Class C wine license. It says that they don't have to be a restaurant, right,
Correct.
to get that license? Correct. And explain again to me the option for businesses to utilize operators permits.
So the operator's permit is what the state will issue
Yeah,
for you to get your bartender's license and use it anywhere in the state. We still haven't seen the form. We still don't know how much it's gonna cost, but they're gonna be available January 1st.
okay,
And valid in all municipalities. You must recognize them and allow someone with a permit from the state to serve, in your business.
okay.
So we have already had a local business here say they will no longer buy licenses from the village because this option is now available, so they will be buying their permits through the state. So some smaller municipalities are really gonna suffer because of this, because that was their revenue source, and they're gonna lose that now.
All right, but there's not a process in place yet from the state or understanding how to do that, okay?
Yeah, I haven't, yeah, they have not put out the forms, but once those applications become available, people can just go online, they apply through the state. I would expect that the board here will charge me with getting a copy of that permit for the file so that we can prove they have a licensed operator on premise. At a minimum, that's what you would want,
Yeah.
but yeah,
And we don't know what that permit will cost, what the
Nope,
charge, what the
still
state
don't
will
know.
charge. Okay.
it's gonna be something more than what we charge, I'm sure.
Well, but they have an option, right? They go to us or the state or
Correct.
they have to go to the state, okay.
And the state permit is also gonna be a 1 or a 2 year permit, we know that much, but I'm still waiting to see the forms.
And ours are 1 year?
1 or 2 years, yeah.
One or two. Oh, yeah, that's right, okay, okay.
But if there's anything else in the ordinance in general that you wanted to address before this gets revised, this would be a good time.
I had another question that was about quotas, which is completely not related to what we're talking about at the moment, but what was didn't we just get information on our population estimate from the Department of Administration? And where is it?
Our population estimate is 1205.
Oh, 5, got it. Okay,
The final estimate did come in, for January 1, 1205,
January 1 of
24, yeah,
Okay, and that doesn't, so we don't get that till what, July or August?
August.
August of next year, we'll get this year's, January of this year, okay.
Thanks, so then this comes back to us because it's gonna be out there for,
Yep, it'll get published so that people can review it for a couple of weeks, and it'll come back for approval formally next week or next month.
you need a motion to, or you just, okay. The monthly financial report.
I have many questions.
Okay.
Page 88. Quality State Oil. Chevron Oil, Oil, $482, mobile Delvac, 15W40, $583. There's 55-gallon barrels of oil that we're getting. Is Eric on the call?
Mhm.
And have we checked around, is that something new? I just don't remember seeing that in the past. I don't know if that's a good price or a bad price. There's also Halron Oil in Green Bay, who delivers up here, just as an option to get quotes.
So it's page 88.
Yep, the last. Bottom, page 88. The quality state oil. On page 89, under Amazon Capital Service. Did we really buy $100 surge protector, or is it something special?
No, that's what it was. I don't remember which department. That was something for the utility.
So could it have been something
I'm
special?
sorry. 690 is the marina. It was the marina.
Okay,
So it could have been because he also bought power cords there, something related to the docks.
page 93, the second set of bills under Elon Financial Services, flower pot recognition, $540. I thought we had that conversation in Parks.
I did too, yeah, I talked to her about it.
So what is
I
this?
told her, no, I don't know. I told her we couldn't do it.
Well, that money was still budgeted for this year.
Oh.
We were talking about 25.
Oh, right, yeah, it was 25, yeah, you're right, sorry.
Okay, pails. Okay, so maybe 5-gallon pails.
Those are the volunteers that plant the flowers, around the village, in those pots.
They plant them and then they water them all season.
Why do they call it flower pot recognition?
Flower pot ladies?
The folks that take care of them,
Oh,
they, at the end of the season, Sharon Dorshing gives them, gift certificates, I wanna say, like, no, for how much, I'm not sure.
To thank them for their volunteering.
So no more.
Yeah. It was for 25 keys that we were talking about it, not 20.
Oh, okay.
well, this is the gift people.
Page the bottom of page 96, northeast asphalt, Country Lane Road Repair, 1,200, Open Hearth Road Repair, 1,100.
So what happened is after the road was built, there was a truck that went off the road and damaged it, so we turned it into our insurance. And then the other one was Open Hearth did some damage to the road, so we sent them a bill for that, so.
This is just we're getting reimbursed or did get reimbursed already.
The insurance reimbursed us and Open Hearth is dropping a check off.
Page 101. Integrated Process SO, Cellular Service Verizon, $1,300.
So that's something Megan got related to the meter reads.
The telemetry?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I had, thank you.
I had a question about the water fountain, $2,000+.
What page?
At the marina,
I think it's 93, at the marina, yeah,
they added a water fountain down there. I think it was-
like a bubbler, like a,
I think so.
Yeah, it's a bubbler.
Yeah.
Was
expensive.
several.
93, I think.
Okay.
Does our staff shop around and try to get the best price they can on some of these things, or?
They're supposed to, I know Megan does, I know Eric does. Eric will always send me his 3 bids or his 3 quotes. When he's looking at something, like when he does electrical, he's getting 3 bids, or he tries to get 3 bids.
I know, but that's, I think Patrice is, let me put words in your mouth, is talking about everyday things.
Everyday thing,
Like I'm questioning $100 surge protector.
right, and the bubbler,
Bubblers aren't that expensive.
Oh,
Yeah.
bubblers, that's cheap,
that's cheap.
but it's inexpensive for a bubbler when I look at the one that's next to that we installed next to the restroom. And that was 4 years ago.
I believe they are, because your staff is trying to make their budget go as far as they can, so they can get everything they need. So they're always trying to find the lowest cost.
And they can't possibly do it on every single thing, because they never report or anything, but they're,
And some.
I think at some point you just have to trust staff's judgment on that. And occasionally we spot check it and we find.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon's usually great on pricing and it's fast and it saves driving all the way to Walmart. Although you can order online from them.
We do have a policy though to try and buy local all the time.
Yeah, which is great. I have a question. Are we using Logical on a monthly basis? I know we have a subscription.
Yes,
We are
at the marina.
on the marina.
It's the marina.
Okay, all right. And then do we have an ongoing contract with Stantec?
We have municipal services.
Okay, and that's on the, we sign that on an annual basis, or how does that?
We signed up for that a few months ago.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
this,
you were here.
This summer, I think,
May, okay,
and it goes until we terminate it. It's 3,000 a month. But then there's other projects that we contract with them for, like trail planning, for example, that's different pot of money.
these bills, like I'm looking on, let's see where am I? I'm on page 90. And these are all, they're different amounts, 2,500, 2,500, 2,910, and then there's one for 7,000. Which is the wetland delineation.
If the wetland delineation was the, Wiltsey property.
So these are all rates, I guess, 2 invoices on June 13th. One in August and then another one, because there's also some in the next.
Yeah, so the Public Works survey, that was paid for with Public Works. Project, that was their civil site. The floodplain survey was the Village Hall, and their funds paid for that. The professional services, I think that's the MSA contract. And then the wetland delineation was the.
There's one for, this is Public Works Building Engineering for 18,000, so that's not the professional services.
The engineering would be McMahon.
It says then,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm on page 101.
And that, so that would be their civil site design, that comes out of that larger home that we.
Okay, and then 52, I don't see anything for 3,000 a month, but the professional services, 5,182.
That would have been the MSA and that. I can't tell from this, that might have been for 2 months worth of the time too, or something.
Okay, any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve both sets.
Second.
By Brittle. Second by Houston. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to committee reports. Finance committee.
There's two sets of minutes in here. Anybody have any questions? No, there's only one set. No, there
No,
are two
there's
sets.
two. Yeah.
We've seen everything we've worked on. Okay, fire board,
Did not meet,
green care,
did not meet.
historical society,
We did meet, the minutes are included in the packet, and we are working hard, getting ready for Chris Kindle Market. We're gonna create a marina club. This to raise funds to preserve the boathouse with the shadow involved. John Blossom spearing that up, starting a fundraiser thing for that. And we're continue raising money for the new barn, of course.
I have a question, Patrice, on
Sure.
page 8.
Yep.
Under Pino for your thoughts event, September 11th, under there. It says the second event is for the community leaders to communicate what we are doing with the Little Sister Barn. Were they talking community leaders as the village board? What community leaders? Are they asking us to do something?
Yes, I don't know.
I think my comment on the historical, I don't think there was a date on that one, was there?
Doesn't see it.
The
doesn't look
third
like it.
event isn't scheduled, and
Looks like there was one on September 11th, maybe,
yeah,
Yeah, there's no date.
but the second and third event hadn't been scheduled
they're
yet,
not
maybe.
scheduled, and they haven't communicated to me.
That one where it says the third event was to talk to the community at the village hall, they canceled that. Cause they called to reserve the village hall, but they canceled it.
Oh, good, you know.
So the second event, not sure, okay.
But for some reason, I was wondering what date the actual meeting was on, and there is no date written down on that one. He just said it was at 4 o'clock,
Okay, so that.
but we don't know what day it was actually on.
First Thursday of September.
I forgot what made me go back and look for the date.
The historical committee has their hands full. Really full. They're juggling a lot of stuff. They did, I tell them about the what we talked about at the planning commission about the historical overlay, and they really want us to keep exploring that, and they support a historical overlay. They're worried about buildings being torn down completely and rebuilt into a modern thing, and whatever we can come up with as a planning commission board to keep that district unique. Doesn't have to be 1800s anymore, but just so we can keep some type of history in our village. I just heard a rumor today that there's another home for sale across from the village administration
Yes.
Uh-huh.
building, and that,
I run past there.
and that may be torn down. Historical,
Ooh.
very historical home.
Which one?
The
Art Nanches?
used to be Lisa McDonald's.
Oh, that one, yeah.
So I don't know if there's something we come up with in the future, like tearing down historical homes and buildings.
That home, I was running down there, I don't know, a month or so ago, and there were guys there working on the home, so I can't believe that they're.
I know,
Intending to tear it
and they
down.
put so much money into it, so
Yeah.
maybe it's not gonna happen, but
Maybe it's just the rumor mill.
housing committee, We saw the grant came last week.
Yes, the housing committee, we're still working on the grant. Julie has revised it a little bit, did some,
Isn't it submitted?
I thought it was
I
submitted.
submitted it today.
okay, she submitted it today. I wasn't at the meeting yesterday. I was at it.
Do we know what the, you were gonna check to see when the deadline was to, if we got the grant, and when the deadline is to start?
They don't have a start date in there, Louise, but because it depends on the award date, but it does have to be, what they give you the money for has to be expended by the 2030. Which you had talked about too.
By 2030 is what you said, sorry, I misunderstood you, okay, all right.
Marina committee?
Well, I have a question though for the housing committee. Denise has referenced Crested Butte multiple times. And I finally got around to taking a look at it, and it's quite something. In terms of what they've done, they've got several different projects out there, and it's large, the vast, large, piece of property, Jesus. There's lots of different tracts of land out there that they're working on for affordable housing. And I'm wondering if, I think you sent that to Patrice, right? I don't know if it was an
I
article.
don't know if
about
I
it.
sent it to her. I just asked her for that committee.
Okay,
that
I
maybe
can
they,
certainly send you the link. Cause it's a lot of material, but
It
it
is.
could give us some, cause I know that the committee is tasked with coming back to the board with,
a model.
recommended model for what we do. And Crested Butte looked like there were 5 or 6 different projects that they worked with different, different developers, builders, whatever. It's definitely something that's takes a little bit of digging into, but
Right, I think it's too hard, in my opinion. It's too daunting of a task to start from scratch, and we shouldn't
Oh,
have to reinvent the wheel,
Yeah.
but there's plenty of places out there, that's just one of hundreds. And as long as you can find something that you like and think would work here, and you just start building from that.
there's also on that same site, they did housing needs assessment, and they just did it in September of 24 in the Gunnison Valley. And the people that did it, and these are people that you may wanna, it's called Western Spaces LLC, it's a consulting group. So, and basically they go in and do an assessment and tell you what you need. And I've always felt strongly that was a really one way to go, one way to look at getting it the best information or one way to determine the best model. Because I think consultants like that have a lot of data and they understand it and they know where to get it, how to gather it, how to slice and dice it and tailor it for, whomever they're working with. When you look at the housing study, and I'll send you the link and look at who did it, that could be interesting, I think. Yeah, this is a large project. However, the Gunnison Valley is large, but it doesn't make any difference. What they were looking for in determining what was needed, I think the same practices sort of apply. So I'll send it to you and see what you guys think.
Crested Butte.
Crested Butte, it's in the Gunnison Valley in Colorado.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Well, Denise is the one that steered me there, so.
Okay, Marina committee,
We do not meet. We meet tomorrow.
library committee?
Okay, library, generally I would just say read the notes, but I wanted to bring up a couple little things because Christina, is that her name, Christine? Christina. Massive handouts when I go to those meetings. She's got every little inch covered. And so they did have a book sale at Marina Fest, and she made it known that they got $1,000 more than they did the year before, so it was a very successful event. And they said that 2,700 was donated to the Gibraltar School for their middle school students' trip to Washington DC, which is cool. And then also, $5,000 was bequested to the library by Ann Lewis, who passed away recently, which was wonderful.
Yeah, Christina she's really a gem.
She's fantastic.
I mean, the numbers on here look really good when you look at what their numbers look like. She had over 5,000 patrons.
Yes.
That's quite good. She's very good. She's good at,
And people that come in and use the owl, there's a huge list. So they have access to a thing like that in the library for outside people.
yeah, her numbers look really good. I don't know. It's hard to, actually, it's not hard to tell. You can look at the other branches and see, because the only one that's larger, obviously, is Sturgeon Bay, but.
We've always been second to Sturgeon Bay.
Yeah, well, it's bigger, it's understandable, but still, even when I look at communities outside of Door County. Anyway, she's doing a great job.
Parking committee has not met. Parks, property, streets.
So I think, the minutes are in here. There are 2 months of minutes. I think most of the content in here we've talked about today and we talked about last week. Any questions anybody has on any of those?
I had a question on page 46. It said beginning in 2025, it will no longer be possible for election workers to transmit election results to the county clerk from the fire station.
That is correct, because they're getting rid of their fax line here. So right now, the only way we can transmit results is through through a modem hooked up to their fax machine, and that's going away when they redo whatever they're doing here at the fire station. But it's a moot point because with the Badger books, I will be uploading those results myself directly to the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking we had a plan in place.
Yep.
By the way, one comment there, I had said that I would go and take a look at CHOP last weekend with this pumpkin patch and look to see how the yellow stripes worked. And when I drove by, I didn't sit there all night, but it looked like there was no parking there. People will pull up, they'll drop people off, and then they keep coming, so.
That's okay.
Personnel.
Personnel, we are in the well, the minutes aren't in here, I don't think so. I don't
There's
think we-
2 sets.
Oh, I'm sorry, there are 2 sets, I beg your pardon. Yeah, you know what, there's a couple of projects, you guys can take a look and read what we've got there, but we're working on a couple of different things. One is, the personnel handbook. And, that we discussed a couple of ideas. You'll see the bullets in here on what we think should be added, and that has gone on and passed with our HR consultant. We hope to have that completed by the end of this year. And then we would share that with staff to make sure they're comfortable with what's in there, and then distributed and discussed with all staff members. And then also in there is looking at revisions to the reviews, the actual performance reviews. They're passed now, but we still need to take a look at those and do revisions that are tailored to the individual positions, not each individual person, but the position. Because right now there's one for everybody, and it probably would be better if there was, if they were
A little more
tweaked
specific.
a bit and specific to a manager versus, a staff member, et cetera. Let's see,
Or whether it's administrative or parks or utilities.
Yeah. because there's different levels of expertise and so forth. We're working on bylaws for the committee. Again, those were submitted. We should have those finalized and share those with you. And we haven't started on job descriptions yet, but we'll work on that. And then I think we've gotten, you set up interviews with the code compliance officers, maybe?
We did the interview.
You did the interviews, sorry. Yeah. Let's see, I think that's kind of the general overview. If anybody has any questions.
Planning commission.
2 sets of minutes. Any questions? I'm not going to summarize and waste time because I know you all read them.
Okay, SBA,
Nobody's done
that's
here.
on
Although he's not here, yeah.
tourism zone.
Nothing, there's a meeting Thursday, otherwise, this is the first meeting we've had in a bit where everybody's gonna be there. We got the room tax statistics, haven't been published yet, but and this is through August. And, they look okay. Which is good, occupancy is still down across the board for everybody, number of people that are here. But the dollars are up because,
Really?
yeah, occupancy is down. No,
Because it sure doesn't feel that way. I don't know if we have more day trippers then.
it's pretty much on weekends. During the week is quieter. This is what lodging is telling me.
Today, town was crazy.
Well, it's in between Fall Fest and, it's that kind of, but the lodging folks I talked to in Sister Bay, and I've talked to 4 or 5 in the last couple of weeks. Weekends are great, weekdays they've always been quieter. But when you look at the occupancy numbers in terms of, how, the percentage, how full they are. And then you look at, the room tax dollars. The dollars are up, I think for the county about 8%. And, occupancy is not, and so, the average room rate is up 10 to 12%, that's why. So, and Pratt, well, we don't have, Pratt's not a good one to look at really yet, because we only have fourth quarter of last year and first and second quarter of this year, so really have to wait until the next one to see. Because, June wasn't great, so that's gonna hurt it anyway, so we'll see.
Okay, utilities.
Any questions?
Okay. Village Hall.
We did not meet.
And can I just add 2 things on 2 of the committees that did not meet? So the ad hoc Interior Legacy Community Committee did not meet. Because I asked Kurt not to meet,
Yes.
because Jeff Johnson is touring a Baylor facility and we want to wait till we get his report before we meet again. And then with Village Hall, I had told Patrice that, we did not get that grant, that the one we had applied for. So I had asked to hold off on that while I researched what it would cost to have a CDBG grant written. So.
All right. Motion to accept the committee reports being ordered.
Zoning Board of Appeals is in there also.
The 2 sets of zoning board of appeals minutes and the TIF joint review board meeting minutes.
We have representatives now. So if we have somebody up one.
I was not at that meeting, but Julie was.
TIF, we talked about that a while ago. The TIF was, because our valuation is up so high, we can't open a new TIF district.
But we're gonna reevaluate that in the next year potentially, because we're not far off, are we?
We were pretty far off, but we think it was, what happened is, what we believe happened is the assessor didn't get the data into the state on time, so the state makes projections. And based on those projections, we were too high, so now we're gonna wait and see what it really comes in at to see if it's low enough to start a new TIF or amended TIF.
How much does it cost for that investigation? Is that a substantial thing about whether we can or cannot? Staff time, or is it? We also.
It'd be
engage
Garrett's
their-
time, and yeah, it'd be quite a bit.
Hey, why did our assessor not get it into the state on time?
The state said that they believe that's what happened, so, I don't know. And I
Did we
have to-
ask our assessor?
No, and I have to be honest with you, this was a conversation from, I think, June, so I kind of in and out right now, but
Because we had a problem one other time with our assessor, and what, are you nodding your head,
I'm
Heidi?
trying to remember what that was though. Because
I know.
Tasha dealt with them.
I think
And
it's
I was
pretty
not
common.
happy.
Yeah, I think it's pretty common for assessors not to get it in on time, so the state has to make projections or assumptions. And in this case, we know that our value is high, but they had to make projections, and they said that next year it should be more reliable data because you're going off of the actual numbers. What was that? I think we were like 19% higher than we had to be. Can't remember, like I said, why would TIF even be in here? Because we discussed that back.
Because we didn't meet in September to
Oh,
approve the minutes.
okay. So that was a while ago that
But
we
you
talked
had
about
two,
that.
you had two TIF meetings this year, which was unusual.
Yeah.
This was the August meeting.
So I'm not still 100% understanding. So if the state had to come up with some numbers, we're stuck with the state's numbers for a whole year until our assessor files properly next year?
No, they've now filed.
Okay,
So now we'll have those accurate numbers.
All
should
right.
We want to go in
Okay.
and do so.
thank you.
And do we have to do the whole process again, or is it just a matter of saying, okay, we've got the numbers in, so we can get that?
To amend it, we have to start the process, that whole amendment process over if we wanna amend the TIF or do a new TIF based on those numbers.
Is there any way we can like have a quick look to see if we're close to it, or like you've got to go through the whole process and spend all the funds to time and energy to figure that out?
Just to determine the valuation right now,
The valuation of our valuation qualifies, or now will we know that going into it next time, is what I'm saying.
we'll know that going into it next
Okay.
time, so. We were up pretty high though.
Yeah.
I mean, we were pretty far above, I can't remember, because what
looking
ended up
12%.
happening is you couldn't have more than, you can't have more than a certain percentage of your value in a tip, right? Was it 12% or 19%? And we were in a,
19.
yeah, so you couldn't have more than 12, but we were at 19, right? So if we want to amend it, we'd have to go back and look at those numbers and get the data from the state. And if we are at 12, we can proceed with an amendment.
Okay,
Make a motion to accept the committee minutes.
Second by Allison, all those in favor?
All right,
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, now to be placed on a future agenda, refer to committee official complaint. Anything?
Can I say something, man? Because of all the lawsuits and crap, I say. It'd be really great to return and discuss again how we're addressing these rules for the STRs. Because we're just gonna keep getting cranked with problems. We don't think that things need to be tiered for Aaron at the Cherry Cabana and this one down at this place and the Whites on the north side, because they all want different things. And we've made adjustments for people, and this lawsuit is just really, to me, stupid.
I think for my executive, oh, is that for?
Yeah, so I guess we're just, are you suggesting that we ask planning commission to review that, or? you
That's a
wanna-
good idea. Plan commission, rethink and just have a discussion, man. I mean, we're not gonna change things right away, but the idea of the 4 cars and 12 people in a house doesn't cut it.
So then there's,
And we have houses in our little Orchard Highlands neighborhood dropping like flies.
and then there's also there's the plan part of it, and then there's the licensing part of it.
Yeah, but I mean, we
Usually
can
we've
let it
done the-
move out and just talk about it for a bit, so we're not stuck with what we started out in the beginning, which just seemed like a hard hit to stop the STRs, and it wasn't gonna happen.
I don't think that was ever plan commission's intention.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't, but I'm just saying we need to have something that's easier for the people to follow. They have 4 bedrooms, they have 5 bedrooms, they have 6 bedrooms, they're not gonna do this, they're not gonna do that, we're gonna have $100,000 guy going out there checking stuff, nobody's gonna be checking anything. But us neighbors,
Okay,
because there was a discussion early on with hiring a person to do this stuff, and it's not gonna happen, I don't think it.
We just discussed the fact that Julie has done these interviews.
Yeah, it's personnel made it a seasonal position, so the person would not start till March. Then March,
So we're gonna have somebody going out to these homes.
right?
I hope he carries a pistol. He's
I
gonna,
don't think that's.
he's gonna have to be like a constable.
He will not be a constable, he will
No.
not carry a gun, and I
Okay.
don't think that's funny.
No, okay, it's not funny. I just hope it works.
Mr. President, could we please move into closed session?
Yeah, next item, we close section, Dean, executive session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19851G for conferring with legal counsel, government body for rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved regarding short-term rental cases.
So Louise, you were making that motion?
I am. So
Again,
Motion by Austin, second by Warner, roll call vote.
Bruno,
Yes.
Shampoo,
Yes.
Park,
Here.
Olson,
here,
Warner,
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Are you taking a 5?
Yeah, I would